Cleveland Browns, your 2020 most valuable player, assuming they play a season, that is, but Browns MVP for the upcoming season. Who do you got?
Controversially, I will take the quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I know people are excited about what Kevin Stefanski might do with the run game, what Nick Chubb might be like this season. But listen, man, this is the modern NFL, baby. If your MVP is not your quarterback, I'm not sure your offense is working the right way. So I think the way Baker Mayfield's going to spread the ball around, they do have multiple options. Here's part of my strategy. I'm going to undercut you maybe on what you might say. Sure, Nick Chubb is great, but he's not going to have the ball sometimes. Baker Mayfield, Dave, I'm not sure you know the way that the football works. The ball comes to the quarterback first on every play. Mm-hmm. So I just think Baker as a point guard, not that he has to do it all by himself, but that he will be doing this. I think he's your guy, baby.
Yeah, you knew I was going with Nick Chubb, and I'm going to stick with Nick Chubb. And the reason I'm going to stick with Nick Chubb is they're going to continue to run the ball until people stop it with the upgraded offensive line, adding Jedrick Wills, adding Jack Conklin. Nick Chubb averaged over 5 yards a carry his first 2 years with a significantly less than great offensive line. This offensive line's been upgraded. He has averaged 5 yards a carry in his NFL career for 2 seasons, and Kevin Stefanski is going to run the ball, and Nick Chubb is going to set up the ability for Baker Mayfield to play. You mentioned, being a point guard. He turned the ball over too much last year. Baker Mayfield turned it over too much. They don't need him to go out and win the games. They need him to not lose the games in many instances this year, and he didn't do a great job of that last year. I will give you the offensive line, but I think Nick Chubb is the engine that makes this offense go.
In Baker Mayfield's defense, Antonio Callaway won't be dropping touchdowns at the goal line and turning them into interceptions this year. Part of my point with Nick Chubb is I'm not sure. No one's going to debate whether Nick Chubb is good or not. Of course he's good. But I'm not sure that Nick Chubb rushing for 2,000 yards is what the Browns want or what the Browns need. When you have Kareem Hunt here, when you are thinking long-term, not just this season, but maybe down the line with Nick Chubb, you can overdose Nick Chubb, right? Running backs, you don't want to wear this guy down. So I think it's possible. I don't know that Nick Chubb's going to get 27 carries a game in the first half of the season. Again, when you have Kareem Hunt here. And also, I think we've seen what Nick Chubb can do as a pass catcher. So part of what Nick Chubb will be involved with is going to be delivered by Baker Mayfield. I think Baker will be more comfortable. I've been following a guy named Sam Penix online who has been going back through Baker's entire season from last year, clip by clip on Twitter. I would encourage people to look at that. He's concluding Baker wasn't nearly as bad as some people think he was. He did make good throws. He did step up. Sometimes the play calling threw him off. Sometimes the pass rush got to him. But I do think people are on an upswing with Nick Chubb based on last year. And people might be wondering about Baker based on last year. I'm not one. I think Baker has a lot left out there. I think they'll both have very good 2020 seasons. But I think when you think about what Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper and Kareem Hunt and what other people in this offense will do, I think it's hard to find an MVP other than the quarterback because, as I've said before, hashtag too many good players. It's going to be hard. Maybe it'll be hard to figure out who the MVP is. You go back to the QB.
Let's look at the history with this offense. Dalvin Cook has set himself up to get a big payday based on what he had done in this offense that Kevin Stefanski has run. They're going to run a wide zone. That plays right into Nick Chubb's sweet spot. And the other thing is, this is going to be an offense that has an identity, something it didn't really have a season ago. They haven't even played a game, and we already have a pretty good idea of what Kevin Stefanski's identity wants to be. And he wants it to be a guy that can run the ball and can break long runs. I think Nick Chubb, and I know Dalvin Cook is a heck of a running back. I think if you gave Kevin Stefanski and most people around the NFL their choice of the two, they take Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb has the speed, and he can also run over people. This offense is tailor-made for a running back like Nick Chubb, a guy who's averaged 5 yards a carry in 2 NFL seasons, and a guy who doesn't complain at all.
Man, isn't this fun? Who's too many? Can you imagine back when we were been debating like who's going to be their MVP? Gary Barnage or Isaiah Crowell? My gosh, I like this. Listen, I just think I have not looked up the numbers, and Dave, I would like to say, as we argue here, I don't base my argument on numbers. I base my argument on things I randomly think for no apparent reason. I know people kind of believe that this is going to be like a run first or a run heavy offense. And I would just say again, it's the modern NFL and it's all relative. And I hope, I don't know that they're going to run their way to the playoff, right? It's great to have a running game, but I think that threat and that ability will make life easier, will make play action better for Baker Mayfield, will just help Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper and David Njoku and Rashard Higgins get open. And it's hard. Like, who wants to argue against Nick Chubb? I mean, my God. I mean, nobody wants to argue against that. I just think in the balance of things, I think it's possible that as we evaluate Kevin Stefanski, maybe people are getting too much of a read of really getting fired up about this run game when I still believe in the end, you throw to win. In the end, you throw to make big plays. All the stats will tell you how much more effective that is what you do. But when you have the balance, right, when you have the balance of the run game, that makes you that much better. And so as good as Nick Chubb is, and as important as that is, and I don't disagree with anything you said about Stefanski's scheme or ideas, I still think in the end that will be the balance to what will be a more effective, disciplined passing game led by Baker Mayfield.
And I'm with you on Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to have a good year. I think one of the reasons he's going to have a good year, though, is because of what they're going to ask him to do. I mean, he's going to take his shots downfield, and I think he's a good enough deep ball thrower. He's going to hit some of them. But I think what's going to set up everything else is Nick Chubb's ability to move the football and put this offense in second and middle, third and short situations instead of third and 18. And I think Stefanski is disciplined enough in his play calling. We mentioned the modern pass game in the NFL, and that is true. That I won't argue. But the teams that make the playoffs are the ones that can run the ball effectively. And Kevin Stefanski's an Ivy League guy. He knows that. And that's what he's going to try to do with this football team. And he's got not only Nick Chubb, but he's got Kareem Hunt. And I think if you give the ball 20 times to Nick Chubb, he's going to be more effective than if you give it to him 27, 28 times. Because he's not going to be banged up.
Did the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, right? Did the Chiefs win the Super Bowl? I forget sometimes, actually, right? They won it, right? And I know that their quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. And I know that their running back used to be Kareem Hunt, and now he's here. And I don't remember who their running back is. I know they drafted one, but they won the Super Bowl without a running back that I can name. So, and I know that the Patriots had Tom Brady, and I know that they had, I don't know, Martin's still their running back. I don't know who their running back was for the past 15 years. It's a QB league, baby. So, and I think if you believe we've only scratched the surface still of what Odell Beckham can be in Cleveland, right? And if we see Odell Beckham peak, if we see Odell Beckham be as good as he's ever been, that's going to be because he's catching balls from Baker Mayfield. And I think just in terms of, I think that's going to provide something. We saw, I think, a fraction of what that could be. I'm not arguing for Odell, but I'll argue.
Now, I will say the team that was winning most of that Super Bowl game was the San Francisco 49ers, who were quarterbacked by like Jimmy Garoppolo, and they had two running backs, Matt Breida, and they also had Raheem Mostert. Both were big-time running, and they ran the ball effectively, and they had the wheels fall off because their quarterback couldn't make the plays, but their running back put them in a position to be Super Bowl champs, and their quarterback was nowhere near Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes should have like an S on his chest. I'm not going to argue that with you. I don't think Baker Mayfield's quite there. Could he get there? We'll see. But Pat Mahomes, you can't count Pat Mahomes in that. And Brady, you're pulling out one of the all-time greats that's played the position. There's one of him in the world.
Don't tell me what I can't do in an argument. I'll pull out Johnny Unitas if I want to. I just do think, again, I mean, it's a great issue for the Browns to have, but I think in the end, to your point, I mean, it is going to be balanced, right? And it might be, we might be able to have this argument in week 17 and be having the same argument because it's not clear. And I think maybe if it's not clear, maybe that's the best answer for the Browns. That half the people would vote for Baker Mayfield, half the people would vote for Nick Chubb, and either of them could make a really strong argument. And if that's the case, then I think we're probably getting ready for the Browns in a playoff game.
Yeah, without question. That would be fun to debate. Are they going to win a first-round playoff game? All right, round one is done.